Above gold is another metal of antiquity that looms large in our lives. Copper. Symbol Cu. Atomic number 29. 29 protons, 29 electrons. The ancients first learned how to heat rocks to extract copper at least 7,000 years ago. Copper is in wire, electronics, and computer chips, plumbing, and other building materials. It's so important that the rise and fall of copper prices provide a snapshot of the health of the entire world economy. When times are bad, copper prices tumble, and when times are good, they soar. Some say it should be called Dr. Copper because it's the only metal with a PhD in economics. Copper has been prized for millennia for its unique properties. It conducts electricity better than any metal except silver. It's malleable and has a moderate melting temperature. It even scares away bacteria. Copper alone is impressive stuff, but when ancient metallurgists combined it with another element, they invented a much tougher material that went on to conquer the world. That secret ingredient? Tin. Symbol Sn. Atomic number 50. 50 protons and 50 electrons. Tin, added in small amounts to copper, makes bronze, the first man-made metal alloy. Bronze helped to spur global trade, and once forged into tools and weapons, it played a defining role in the empires of antiquity. Bronze named an entire age of human civilization. And even today, it's still hanging around. This is the Verdun Company, a 170-year-old family-run business in Cincinnati, Ohio. I'm here because they're about to cast several bells. Even with all the other modern materials available, they still choose bronze. I want to know why. Hasn't something better come along after all these years? Ralph Young offers to make the case for bronze.
This is our pattern that we're going to use to actually make the form in the sand.
So this looks like a finished bell. This isn't
Yes,
a bell?
it does. This is just the pattern, yes. It's made out of aluminum, so it's real easy to handle.
Well, what's wrong with it? Aluminum's good. Aluminum doesn't rust. Aluminum's light.
You're right.
Why don't you make the bells out of this?
Well, the sound. It doesn't have that lasting ring, and it's just...
You don't like how that sounds?
Not really. It sounds kind of tinny also.
Thanks a lot, buddy.
Yeah, well, you know.
I practiced.
We'll show you what a real bell sounds like.
The quality of the sound depends on the atomic structure of the material. In pure metals, the atoms are arranged in orderly rows and columns. Each atom gives up some of its electrons to create a kind of sea of these randomly moving charged particles. It's these free-flowing electrons that make metals conductive. When placed in a circuit, the negatively charged particles line up and flow as an electric current. The sea of electrons also creates flexible metallic bonds among the atoms. In copper, they can slide past each other easily, which makes it relatively soft and easy to dent. Not right for a bell. That's why Verdun uses stiffer stuff.
So we'll put this down into here.
Ralph places the form into a circular steel sleeve, then fills the space around it with a mixture of sand and epoxy to withstand the searing heat of the hot metal. When this company started, they used a mixture of horsehair, manure, and just about anything else that would hold a shape without burning. But the goal was the same: to create a hollow shape that follows the inner and outer perimeter of the bell. Once he removes the aluminum and joins the two halves, a bell-shaped space remains on the inside, ready to accept the molten bronze.
And what we have here, David, is the bronze ingots that we use to put in the furnace. As you can see, they've got a little bit of heft to them.
Yeah.
They average about 20 pounds. That's a mixture, actually, of 80% copper and 20% tin. And what we have here is the tin in a raw form. This is how it comes out of the ground. This is from Malaysia.
Okay.
And we have a chunk of copper, the way it comes out of the ground, and that's from South Africa.
So that's the recipe for bronze. So you've
Exactly.
got copper plus tin equals bronze.
Equals bronze, yeah.
Why couldn't you use one of those metals by themselves? Why don't you make bells out of just copper?
If it was all copper, it would first of all be too soft, and we wouldn't get that sound that we want from a bell. Tin with copper gives us that hardness.
Adding tin to copper during melting changes the properties of the metal. The larger tin atoms restrict the movement of the copper atoms, making the material harder. A blow causes the atoms to vibrate, but the tin prevents them from moving too far out of position. Tin is good for a bell, but only in the right proportion. This is what can happen if the amount of tin isn't right. No one is certain why the Liberty Bell cracked, but a chemical analysis indicated that there was too much tin and perhaps other impurities in the bronze. The crack could have been caused by the way the atoms were arranged within the metal. Too much tin and the copper atoms can't move at all. One good whack and... When the bronze has reached the proper temperature, 2200 degrees Fahrenheit, it's time to pour.
Is there any danger involved in this process?
Well, if you consider getting burned a danger, yes, there is.
During the pour, speed is of the essence. If the metal is allowed to cool, flaws could develop, ruining the bell. Even though the foundry has the technology to precisely control the temperature, and Ralph and his team have decades of experience, bronze remains unpredictable. Out of every 100 bells they pour, 20 or 30 will fail.
That was quite a process. I
Yes.
appreciate your letting me help out like that.
I think we got 3 successful bells out of this, but anything can go wrong. So you just don't know until after you open up the molds and see what you got.
The bells have to cool for 24 hours. So it's the next day before we can find out if they'll be making music or ending up as scrap.
So what am I going to see inside? A gleaming, chrome, silver, magnificent church bell ready for hanging?
Actually, no. You're going to see, I like to refer to them as a newborn baby. They come out kind of ugly and not so pretty, but they clean up really well.
Bum, 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 bum. Wow, I can feel waves of heat coming off of this.
Yes, it's still quite warm.
Is it touchable?
Yes, it's touchable.
How? Speak for yourself, dude.
And what happens to a carefully crafted sand mold? It's history.
Is this an actual bell that you can actually sell to somebody?
Oh, yes, yes. This will be on the market very soon.
So I really do need to not chip it.
That would be good.
So what about all this black sooty stuff?
So that's going to have to be cleaned off of there.
You got some kind of big hydraulic.
Actually, no. I got this. Well, that was a big waste of time. You missed a big spot over here. I guess that's okay for a rookie.
Well, thank you so much, Ralph.
And now for the moment of truth. Will this bell be good enough to sing?
What time is it? Time to celebrate the millennia-old tradition of bronze.
Our bell resonates with a beautiful tone, and it takes many seconds for the note to die out, thanks to the interplay between copper and tin. Even the best bell makers can't know whether their bronze will be too stiff or too soft until they pour a bell and strike it. I wonder, though, if there's a more scientific way to evaluate the metal.